Yes. Hi.
Oh, we are live. Good
Okay.
morning. I
Good
am
morning.
Beth Hildenbrand, and this is Booked Up with Beth. And this morning we have a very special guest, Margie McDonnell Welsh. And she is just excellent. I have read her books and I loved every one. So I am going to let Margie tell us a little bit about herself, and I'm a big fan. So this is excellent. Yay, yay. I'm okay. There goes the squirrel. Got to bring him back again. Okay, Margie, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Beth, for having me. I very much appreciate it. And it's because we've talked that I am doing this show. My first, last, and only live performance was at a Barnes and Noble many decades ago. That my publisher at the time, that was Bantam or Harlequin, talked me into, and I'm not a real public person, and I'm awful at text, so I'm thinking, oh gosh, but I love your books as well. I have a couple of really cool characters that I'm hoping that you will revive in your books, and so I just thank you for having me. And so about myself, I think I started wanting to write when my grandfather used to tell me stories. He would make up stories in his head, The Princess and the Spaghetti Forest. And I was always the heroine of his stories. And so when I got old enough to write in my head, I was about 3, I would take paper and pencil and I would write these fantastic stories that I'd created in my head. And I would hold them up, give them to my relatives and say, what do you think? And they'd say, well, what is it about? And I was so upset that they couldn't read it. And then I realized, well, okay, I didn't know my ABCs at 3.
I was going to say, boy, you were a prodigy.
No, so all of these were in my head. So I mean, I started when I actually could start writing. I did start writing, and I wrote all through high school, story, and I won contests for writing contests and that sort of thing. So, but my parents convinced me that there was no money in writing, and so I should get another career. So I went to college to be a therapist. And while I was there, I mean, I had this abnormal psychology book in front of me, and secreted inside the book was a romance novel. And I got caught, reading romance instead of abnormal psychology. So my professor, who was very stuffy and kind of Sigmund Freudish, said, you're never going to be published, and you're going to be barefoot and pregnant your whole life, and that's all you're going to do. So, he was. So afterwards, right after college, when I published my first book, I sent him a copy, a signed copy, with a little note that said, "And I did it barefoot and pregnant."
Good for you.
He didn't write me back, but I felt much better.
I'll tell you what, I'd have done it too. Smart ass.
So I wrote for now. Some of these are older publishers. So I wrote for Jove. I sent in a manuscript to a place called Donald McCampbell Literary Agency in New York, and I sent them a manuscript, and they said, "Well, we really can't use that one, but Jove is opening up a new romance line. Would you like to write for them?" And I'm thinking, I would like to write for anybody. Okay. So I wrote a manuscript and sent it in, and they bought it. And then they bought another one. And then there was the publishers have kind of these little wars between each. The editors would say, "Oh, well, I want that author. No, I want that author." So you couldn't have the same name. You had to have a different name if you were writing for a different publisher, so that nobody knew that author was also writing for other publishers. So I ended up with 3 publishers, Harlequin, Jove, and Bantam. And we went back and forth with that for a decade or so. And it was fun, and I made a lot of money, and I sold probably, I don't even know how many. I was over 500,000, but it could have been as high as 750,000 books. I was very young, and it never occurred to me that I should keep track of these things. I just wrote, it's not like these days when if you're an indie publisher and you have to, do your own cover art or find someone to do that for you and upload. If you're like, if you're an indie publisher or an Amazon publisher, you have to upload your own stuff. You have to find your own editing. You have to do your own marketing. Back then you didn't have to, your agent did pretty much everything for you that your publisher didn't. And you wrote and they sent you checks. I really liked that then. That was fun.
I bet it was.
It was a lot of fun then. So when I ended up quitting for, a couple of decades, I'd stopped. I did fan fiction and stuff, but I stopped because I ended up having to raise and support my 4 children by myself. And I made good money as a writer, but not enough to support an entire family. So I ended up doing something else for that time. And then after they grew up, I thought I really, really want to go back to writing. And so I did. But the industry had changed fairly dramatically, and my agent had passed away. And so I thought, well, I can try Amazon. Why must we do things the hard way the second time around? But it's been an experience, and I did the 5 books for this series, and I was over romance by then, or at least light romance. I kind of thought dark fantasy might suit me better, and it did. So thank you for reading them and liking them so much.
Well, dark fantasy does suit you. It's wonderful. I'll tell you what. I'm on book 4. I'm halfway through.
Oh, you are? Okay, so you're on Demon Fire. Oh, yeah,
yes. Yes.
I won't tell you anything.
Good. I mean, I just went through these books. They are so good.
Thank you.
And so, yes, it's Demon Spawn, Demon Lord, Plague of Demons, Demon Fire, and Demon Born.
Yes.
Now, is Demon Born out?
Yes. They're all 5 of those are out. So you get the entire story from beginning to end. One of the things that I like to do, I put little Easter eggs in all of them. So some of the ones you're thinking, well, why? You'll find out. Yeah, you'll find out.
Yay me. I'm so happy. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to say good morning to John, and good morning to Nina, and good morning to Theodore.
Hi, John and Theodore and Nina.
Thank you for watching. It's nice to have you this morning. So these books are absolutely fabulous. You and I are both kind of sisters under the skin with our angels and demons. So, yes, I totally got into these books. And Sahara, your main character, she is kick-ass.
She is.
Totally. And she doesn't quit. She's like me. Once she gets a bit in her teeth, she just keeps going. And I am terrible about that. I do not quit when I decide on something. I would drive people insane.
Are you sure we're not sisters?
I think we've got to be related. We got to check the gene pool somewhere. But with the redheads in the family and the way we write, I think there's got to be some connection there. So I'm thinking there's something somewhere. Don't forget about Demon Bob. Yes, she has met Demon Bob.
I have. Oh yeah, Demon Bob is great. I mean, I should introduce Demon Bob to some of my friends here. Here's one of my friends.
Oh,
that's my knight in shining armor, Antonio the Door Guard. Hi, Bob.
Hey. Yeah, we've got a little love fest going on here with our guys. We're having a fun morning. We were late even.
Well, we got talking.
We did. You know what happens when my mouth gets going and the squirrels take off? Oh, it gets terrible. Now, so we have. We should co-write a book together. Hey, there's a thought.
That's been suggested before. I've got another friend. Her name is Danae Sheneman, and she also writes demon books. I think it's that nobody else wants to talk to us. We have to talk to each other. No. Yeah, she writes demon books too. So, yeah.
It's true. People run away from me.
Okay, but
I had a woman pull a child away in the store the other day, and I was like, "What? The pink hair is gone. I'm still frightening. You've got to be kidding me."
Oh, hey, I have something better for you. So I got a call one day from someone who they'll remain nameless, and they said, "Oh my God, I got your book, but I had to burn it." I'm going, okay. Why did you have to burn my book? And they said, well, because my wife went into her closet and she swore she saw a demon, and she knew it had to come from your book because your book said demon spawn. And so she made me go out to the barbecue and light it and burn it. I'm thinking, okay.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, I love it.
I thought, well, okay, I'm infamous now. I've had my books burned.
I want somebody to burn one of mine.
I apologize. I told him, I said, well, tell the demons to go away. Send them back in the smoke. It'll be okay.
Oh, that's too good. You should have told him. You could have just burned some sage over it or something. You didn't have to light the whole damn thing on fire.
No. I just thought, okay, all right. What do I know? I'm not going to get mixed up in religion. I did remind him. I said, most of this is fiction, right? I mean, I really don't stuff a demon in every single book that I send out. Although, if anybody has special requests,
you should have told him to keep watching the corners. Maybe some Scrabblies escaped first.
My sense of humor tends to get me in trouble. I mean, it might have been the picture I took with the horns, I mean.
You should have saw the Lilith episode. She really had horns.
And
she identified as the demon Lilith.
Well, okay, so I don't, but we have a local Renaissance fair. So every year, well, not every year, but when I do go, which is fairly often, I have this giant pair of black feather wings. I mean, they're taller than me, and they drag the ground, and so I wear my horns, my black horns, and my black wings when I go to the to the Ren Fair.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Because you might as well get into the part,
Yeah, I'd love to dress up for Halloween.
Me too.
When I was younger and still, had it, I'd generally be Buffy. All I had to do was basically dress like myself and carry a stake.
We still have it.
I try, but my habit is getting a little slower these days.
I just run faster. That's all.
It's a little harder to wear those 6-inch spikes.
Stilettos. Yeah. See, I was never very good at that. I mean, I'd end up falling rather like a scene in my first book that you will remember, where I tripped over my stilettos and ended up with my face in someone's lap. What happened?
I used to be able to go for hours and hours in those things. I'm getting a little slower. I still wear them, but I'm getting a little slower.
I inherited a clumsy gene from somewhere that I've passed on to my granddaughter. So, I mean, but I still have it. So,
oh, I'm the biggest klutz. I'll tell you, I'm black and blue from head to toe.
John always wanted to go as a male witch to a Ren Fair. Oh, John, we have a really nice Ren Fair. Would you like to go with a demon? I mean,
I was at Walmart the other day, and somehow I managed to knock one of those giant cans of beans down on myself. I couldn't lift my arm for 2 days. I just looked at Matthew and said, "Honey, could you please pick that up for your mama?"
How did you do that?
I have no idea. I mean, I think I just kind of materialized it into the air because it's way up on a high shelf. I don't know. I think, I don't know, maybe a Scrabbly did it. One of the bad Scrabblies decided to knock it down upon me.
Yeah, they opened a glyph portal and decided to dump beans on you because that would be amusing.
That's just me. I can just, cause havoc wherever I go. My kids just looking at me like, oh no, I'm so embarrassed. As this giant thing goes thunk on the floor after bouncing off his mother. It's like,
oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah. So John, you if you always go as a male witch to a Ren fair, you should send a picture. You should post a picture on, somewhere on my wall or Beth so we can see what you look like as a male witch.
Absolutely. I'm always up for a cool thing on my Facebook.
I mean, cosplay is fun. For a number of years, I went as a Klingon. I ran an international Klingon writers club. I know that sounds geeky, but it was called the Klingon Strike Force. I was the Thought Admiral Kalei Epitai Kenor Chang at your service. So yeah.
I have a coffee meme I was going to post. There's a tribble in my coffee. I love Star Trek.
I learned to speak Klingon. I can speak, a little bit of Klingon, and for this latest series that I'm writing, I've been studying Latin because I believe in research. I believe in doing, finding out the information so that someone doesn't say, "Oh no, that's wrong," So I've been studying Latin, and for this next book, which is a continuation to a certain extent of the first series. It's set in the same world with many of the same characters, but the main characters in this one were the secondary characters in the previous books.
Lila?
So, yeah, you may have met
Lily.
Yeah. Lily's in there, and her child is in there. Have you gotten to Forcas yet? Forcas he was one of the fallen angels that.
Yes.
Well, Forcas is the main male character in this next series, which is called An Echo of Angels. But I can't tell you more without ruining the last part of the book you're reading, so I won't say anything.
Ooh, okay. I should take some of these questions. What was the most challenging scene and character to write?
Oh, that one would be Doc Alex. Doc Alex was the one of the humans, totally humans in the series, and there was a disease going around. This was actually, we came up with this before COVID. This disease was called L1 for the Lucifer 1 virus. And so, although the concept came before COVID, it was in fact, many years before COVID when we were coming up with this idea. My husband was still living, and he said, I think I'd like to have a character who was a doctor, and then we'll call him Alex, because he was helping me come up with characters. And he said, but I think he has to die before the end of the series. And I said, why? And he said, well, the love interest has to be an angel, so I think he has to die. And interestingly enough, my husband did pass away from cancer before the book was finished. So writing Doc Alex in that book was really hard for me because I had to kill him. And it took me 3 books to do it. I mean, it was supposed to happen in the first book and I just couldn't. So with each book, it would, I would tell myself I had to do that. Right. So, some of those scenes I cried as I wrote them.
Oh, now I look at him totally different.
Yeah.
Because, I love Max.
Me too. Yeah.
But now I look at Alex all different.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that was
I'm like really sad about it.
I know it was a hard scene for me to write, especially at the very end, right? Because, it was poignant for me.
Oh, yeah, I'm all getting all teary now.
But I believe that I believe to a certain extent I believe in precognition, and I think and that's happened in numerous places in the books. One of the ones that you're the one you're reading now mentions Iran lobbing missiles into Israel and vice versa. And it was written way before any of this. There is a Capitol riot scene that was written way before anything. So I think sometimes, I think Stephen King said it, mentioned it. He said that all writers go down to the well and dip their cup into the future and write what comes out. And I think maybe we pluck information out of the future and we don't know it until afterwards, right? So
you're like Nostradamus.
Kind of, but with demons.
Yes, you're the Nostradamus of demons.
So yeah, I believe that, my husband may have had some precognition that he wouldn't live throughout the book, but it was his character. Yeah, it was his character. So I thought, all right, I have to write it. I have to be true to the vision that he wanted. And so I was,
Oh, oh, wow.
And thank you, John. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate your sympathy.
She will put her links up on my page.
I thought Nina was going to do that or had done that, but I can do that.
She probably has. And Nina's really good about that. If she hasn't, I'm sure she will put them in this thread.
Thank you.
And yes, you can find them there. You'll love these books because he's read mine and loved them. So I know you will love these.
We have a similar style, I think.
Yes, and our characters are kind of
they're real.
Yes. Well, I don't know how to explain it, but I was like, oh my God, she so gets me. I thought when I read your books, it was like, oh my God, she so gets me.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had some people say, well, how can you make a demon good? Well, I think that maybe there's good and bad in all of us. Maybe there's a little more bad in the so-called demons, but I like to find redemption. I like to find, like, I'm sorry I did that. Can I have a second chance? And so some of them do, not all of them. Some of them are very happy being what they are. Others wanted to change. Others wanted, to be good. And one of my characters, Forcas, says he's talking to the heroine in this new book, and he says, "Your father was a light angel pretending to be dark for 10,000 years. I am a dark angel trying to be light, but I remember the dark, and so it's not easy." So it's there are very real problems, very real challenges, and I think if you can imbue your characters, and you do, with those real feelings, they become real.
And so I sometimes think, okay, and this is just a fantasy in my mind.
Yeah.
But if they were once angels, do they not still have some of that in them? Do they not want to seek the light again? Do they not crave it?
The gardener says yes.
Yes, he does. And all hail the gardener. I love the gardener.
I do too. I wanted to make, for those of you who don't know, the gardener is also known as God. But when the heroine finds him in the first book, he's just a gardener. He looks like a migrant worker, digging around an apple orchard in her backyard. And she thinks he's just one of the workers on the place that she's basically inherited. And she just calls him the gardener because she doesn't know his name and nobody will tell her his name. And then she finds out later who he is, but she still calls him the gardener. And he kind of likes that, So he's got a long-term plan that he almost never shares with anybody. And they're all trying to just play catch up. So, yeah.
And I can just picture him so perfectly in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, kind of a Cheech and Chong-y kind of.
Yeah. No, it's true. I've had kind of fun with AI. The only tech thing I can do anything with is is AI, and I was just playing around with it to see if I could come up with a visual for people when they say, "Oh, what does this character look like?" And it's certainly not perfect yet, but I've come up with some characters that look like, more or less in my head, what I'm writing. And so I've posted a few of those on my page. This is what these guys look like, and it does. It's good and bad because it may replace an image that you've got in your head with one that still isn't quite perfect, but I've had fun with it. I wouldn't use it for a book cover. No, I would use. I have an illustrator for my book covers, and I've hired artists for my book covers before when I can afford to do that. And I wouldn't use AI just because there's such a backlash. And I don't want to have anybody think that I'm using AI to write my books. I mean, that's the only fun part about it. Why would I share that? I mean, why would I do that? But some people do. And so I don't use AI for anything but just fun.
I was given the cover for Tombstones. It was a gift.
Yeah.
And that is AI, I guess. But I make my own covers, which are pretty basic. They really are. I don't do a lot of
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that. I love AI. Covers. I think it's beautiful, which is why I have fun with it. And I post it on my Facebook page. But it's just, I understand that artists need to make money too. Mm-hmm. And if we start outsourcing our creativity, whether it's in art, or writing, or really anything else, to something else, then don't we lose some part of us that's human?
Yes. And I understand why people get angry about AI.
Yeah.
I would never use it in my writing. I think that's ridiculous. Writing comes from your soul. You don't throw that away. And anybody who does is just, not worth a pinch of shit. But the people who get upset about it over covers, I think that's a personal choice. Yeah, that's a creative choice, for your cover. Yeah. And I think people need to lay off that a little bit.
And they may. I mean, there were a couple of things that I really liked that I couldn't tell if they were AI or not.
Exactly.
I mean, it was beautiful. And one of them, I should say, one of them ended up on the back of my book. This was before AI really came out, right? Anybody was talking about it. So I happened to be on a page, and there was a raven, Nahil, my security raven, and somebody had taken this. It looked like an artist's drawing of a raven who had like a helmet on, like a worked armor, and it was so perfect for what I had envisioned for Nahil, my raven, that I asked him. I said, "Can I use that on the back of a book?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I created it, so sure." And I had permission from him and everything. But looking back on it now, was one of the early books. I don't know. It could. I suppose it could have been AI, but it wasn't. AI wasn't a thing back then. So, when he said he created it, I assumed he was the artist. So maybe I do have an AI picture on the back of one of my books. But otherwise, I try to support people, other artists where I can. But yeah, I might have to sell my soul.
Mine's been gone for a long time, so
yeah.
But I think you should start your own jewelry line. Like I said, Lily and her demon earrings.
Oh, the demon earrings. Yes.
That I love that part of the book, and I think we should tell everybody about the Scrabblies we keep talking about, because we just keep talking about them, and we haven't even explained what they are.
No. Okay, so Scrabblies. Okay, so I will give a tiny bit. I'll give a tiny bit away that if you haven't read the first couple of books, and anyway, Scrabblies are these little beings. Well, rather like gin. genie's gin. But they're these little beings, and they are living. They're sentient. They can assume any shape they want to. Anything from they often choose a gargoyle or a dragon, but some of them are little kittens with horns or dogs. I mean, they can choose their own shape, whatever they want to. One of the infamous ones are butterflies. So the heroine is trying to find, and Doc Alex are trying to fight this L1 virus, and these little scrabblies can suck the virus out of them. They're very good healers, right? But you can't have a gargoyle sit on somebody's lap or a dragon, and I mean that just doesn't go over in a hospital setting. And so the heroine was trying to figure out what they could be transformed into that would be okay for a hospital setting. And so Doc Alex said, well, how about, butterfly Band-Aids, something like that? Can you make butterfly Band-Aids? And so the first image in her head is butterflies. And so all these scrabblies will, assume the shape of blue butterfly Band-Aids. And so the hospitals were then filled with butterflies floating around, So yeah, it was an idea that just kind of popped into my head and then took off. So scrabblies are part of humanity's gift from God. They help people. They're generally good little things, and some of them live in hell. When there's the dark scrabblies aren't quite so good, dark construct scrabblies, and the light construct scrabblies that humans can create themselves by wishing for them. Those are good. So I assumed that they were just going to be a little side character, just one of those little things that, you mention once or twice and then they go away. But no. They took over. So
they did.
And in fact, with most of my books, I will come up with, here's how I want it to begin and here's how I want it to end. And I have no idea what I'm doing in the middle. And yep. I'll write a little bit and then I'll go to sleep with a problem in my head. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I'll get woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning with a demon voice in my head going, you should do that. Here's the dialogue I want you to say. And here's the visual. So I'm sure that some part of my back brain is just got a multiple personality. But so the Scrabblies decided to write their own story. Like most of my books decide to write themselves. Does that happen to you, Beth? Do you have?
That's exactly how it works. Yes.
Okay. So they're not coming for me with a little jacket, with the arms wrapped. Yeah, because it sounds insane. But if you're another writer, and you don't exactly know where you're going, and you go to sleep, and then you wake up with a solution. Sometimes I'll get visuals and dialogue and voices and. If I ever wake up and there's something sitting at the end of my bed, I will have a heart attack. But
yeah, exactly. But no, that's exactly how it works. Or you'll be like in a half sleep and okay, there it is. Yes, that's it. Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
I sleep with my phone right next to me so that I can get up and write it in notes, shorthand kind of, and then figure out. Okay, so. Here's these 6 sentences that are going to trigger memory so that, now I can go back to sleep.
I have the pad and paper next to me.
Yeah. Yep.
I think Bob, whispers it to me in the night.
Yeah. Bob would whisper to me too. I have a gargoyle. Have you run into Granite yet? Maybe not. Granite is the head of a Scrabbly company of gargoyles in this war that you're going to be reading about.
And I haven't met him yet.
I found he's
No, we didn't.
Uh-oh.
Yes, no, we didn't. Hey.
Yep.
I did. I gave you that.
Matthew.
What?
I'm sticking. I don't know if it's me or not. Uh-oh, folks. Shoot. This is not good.
What's the problem?
I'm spinning. Go get a shirt on. Help.
All right. Granite doesn't want us talking about him, apparently.
No. Oh, shoot. So I had another question for you.
Yeah.
You asked me about Tarzan.
Yes.
Have you ever had a character who was just, supposed to be a secondary character that you fell in love with?
All the time. All the time.
Doesn't that drive you nuts? Because I'm going to have to find a way to bring him back from the
Oh,
dead.
you are, because I mean, for some reason, he spoke to me. I liked Tarzan. I had the same thing with Forcas. He was supposed to be mentioned once or twice, and then he rose to the top and took over. So
isn't that crazy? I mean, he just, for some reason, he
Yep.
became my favorite character
Yep.
out of all of them.
And he's my favorite too. And the weird thing is, you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me that he was your favorite character, but he jumped out of the pages at me and said, "Please rescue me from this wall."
Yes, I know. He just, for some reason, he's just his character.
Yes.
Something about him, his attitude, his just him.
He had part of him was very caring. I mean, he had that dual dark light nature. Part of him was very, very dark, and he certainly knew how to, he didn't like the, there were people he didn't like in your book. I'm trying not to give spoilers, right? But on the other hand, he had a very holy side to him as well, a self-sacrificing side. And that's how I see some of the fallen in my book, is that they still yearn for the light, even though they are dark. And yeah, he spoke to me. So yeah, go save him.
I'm planning to.
Good.
I plan to finish the book I'm on now by June, and then the next Cain will come. And
so yeah, I'm the one I'm working on now. I'm about a third of the way through it. I had planned on doing it. I usually write a little bit faster than I'm doing, but I had a foster son pass away last year from cancer, and I had my granddaughter with cancer. So I mean, there was a lot of focus that was not directed toward a book. When you've got family, that they have to come first.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm back to work now, and I expect to be done with it by the end of the summer, so that maybe we'll have a book in our hands by Halloween.
Yay.
So yay. Yeah. I some people write very quickly, and I have too much OCD for that. I'll be going, no, I've used that word twice now. I need to find another word that means that same thing, but it's also got to fit the space. Yeah. So it takes me a while to finish that. So thank you, John. Yes, family is always first for me. The demons can wait. They've been waiting for thousands of years. Really, the family, the family has to come first. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I take too long with my books too, but
I don't see that. I mean, okay. So, I mean, people would like to have them sooner, and I appreciate that, because I really want to know what's going to happen to Tarzan. But I would rather you write him in a way that is good for you, so that you're comfortable with him and that you're happy with your work when you're finished. And that's, because I'm going to use you as an excuse and say, well, okay, Beth did it, and so if it's okay with Beth, it's okay with me. That's how I'm doing it too.
Year. You can count on a year before before seeing Cain, because I just, hey, life happens, and like you said, family first. I've got the new grandbaby, and
yeah, right. Yeah.
And all that. And he's just a cute little son of a gun. Genesis.
Yeah.
He's 4 months old now.
Oh.
He's my darling.
That's sweet. That's sweet. So, and when you're holding, it's really, okay, I've had my years of holding babies in one hand and writing with the other, because I've written for 45 years now, but it's easier when you don't have to do that.
Yes, it is. It is. Well, I didn't start till I was 50.
Really? Why didn't you start sooner? I'm curious.
Well, raising the kids, and then my youngest, Matthew, he's autistic. So,
Okay. Right.
so there was a lot of concentration on him.
Right.
And then when he, started school and got him going,
Mhm.
till he was in school full time, it was very busy.
Yeah. No, I
So,
can I understand that.
so yeah, when the kids were all gone, it was like, well, I don't have anybody to play with.
I'm going to have to come up with some demons to play with. Yay!
Exactly. And so I was like, I'm going to finally do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I sat down and started writing. And then my father passed away. And that's when it's like, okay, this book I have been writing for all these years,
Yeah.
I am going to finish it for my dad.
That's an important goal. I mean, it's a gift. I'm sure your dad would have enjoyed reading it. My dad passed away before he read one of my books, one of my early books, and he sat for half a day and just sat there and read it. And that was I remember that, and I'm sure that your dad would have been happy with yours too.
I'm sure he would have. He'd have scolded me probably a little bit, but you're not supposed to know about those things. You're a girl.
Yeah. My dad would have been cheering, because he was as irreverent as I am.
So was mine. I remember one time he fussed at me for how I was dressed. I said, Dad, I'm going out with a guy. I'm not going to a nunnery. What the heck? And he just laughed and laughed. Yeah, that's my kid, whatever.
Well, if he was like most fathers, he probably didn't want you going out with anybody anyway. None of them were good enough for you.
But then, I remember going out. He'd take me out every now and then for dinner, and he'd be looking at the waitress and say, "Hi there, sweetheart," and I'd be like, "Oh Jesus, here
Dad.
we go." He was a dog,
He sounds adorable.
Oh, he was the best ever. I mean, we were, my mom left, and so I was raised by my dad.
Okay.
Yeah. From the time I was like 10. It's like being raised by a man is a whole different animal.
Yeah. I mean, I had kind of the reverse thing. I raised, all four of my children pretty much by myself. My daughter was 5 when my first husband left. And my oldest son at that point in time was not quite 13. And so, so you're raising 3 teenage boys by yourself. Oh my gosh. When you're a woman, because there's things that they want to know. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, okay, let's see if we can find some details here. Yeah. So, a single parent of opposite sex children can be challenging.
Oh, tell me. When I threw my first husband out, I had 4 boys.
Okay.
And it was like, oh, here we go. It's WWE in your living room all afternoon.
All the time. Yeah.
And yeah, it's fun.
And they're sneaking girls in when you're not looking. And
yeah. I once said to one girl, how old are you? And she says, oh, I'm 17. I said, I want a permission slip from your parents. And my kid's mouth just fell open. I was like, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I was running a halfway house for a while, which is kind of where the idea came to have a house full of demon spawn. Because, I mean, I had one lady, she was going to jail. I told you we lived in the hood. And she came with her 16-year-old daughter who happened to be dating my son. And she said, I have no place to put her. There's nowhere to go. I don't trust the foster care system. Will you take her for a few months until I get out? And I'm thinking, oh God, how am I going to keep them separated? But she had nowhere else to go. So I took her, and she was a wonderful girl, and she's grown into a wonderful woman. But yeah, they were, I had police stop at my house one night, and they brought me this young man who also used to hang around my house. His mother was also in jail, and his father was unknown. And they said, we have, our foster care people that we can't get a hold of them till the morning. We don't want to take him to juvie. He didn't do anything wrong. He's just homeless. can he stay with you until tomorrow morning and we'll pick him up? And I'm thinking, if even the police are bringing them to my house. And so he stayed, and we ended, really, I had a revolving door of demon spawn in and out of my house for a decade. And some of them actually made it into the book, because they were important to me. And when you have to raise them and they're, feral children anyway, they stick in your heart a little more when they have no one else to love them, so.
Oh yeah, I did. There's this one boy. This is a crazy story. Well, he came over, and he would hang out with my kids, and I felt sorry for this kid.
Yeah,
because his parents knocked on my door one night, and they said they brought this Walkman or whatever the hell it was over. Yeah, it had to be more than a Walkman, because it was not my age group. It was the kids, whatever. It was an iPod or some craziness.
something.
Yeah. And they said, I think our child stole this from your kids.
Oh dear.
And the boys were like, no, he didn't steal it. We gave it to him.
Yeah.
And the parents said, well, we're bringing it back. And I suggest you don't let our son be here anymore with your children. And I was like, what?
Why?
And the father says, our son is evil. You
Oh,
do not
no.
want him around your kids.
Oh no.
And I'm sitting there like, you have got to be kidding me. Who says this about their own child?
They're children. You have to teach them. That's what your job is.
Exactly. So I'm like, what the hell just happened in my living room? Am I really hearing this right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Something happened, and this kid turned on my son. And so his brother beat the hell out of my other son, beat the hell out of this kid for beating the hell out of his brother.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, then this just all stops. Y'all just stay away from this kid. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't need you kids fighting, but thank you for sticking up for your brother. You did the right thing. You beat the hell out of the kid.
Yeah.
So about a year later, it's on the news. This kid and another boy took this poor little girl who had learning disabilities out in the woods, raped her, and set her on fire.
Oh my gosh.
I am not kidding you. This kid truly was evil.
Oh my gosh. You have to wonder what happened to him that made him that way. Other than his parents calling him evil when he was little.
Yeah, John, you remember that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This
Light
poor
some sage
girl.
over that child. Yeah.
And apparently she didn't burn up the first time. They went back the next day and set her on fire again.
Oh no. Where was her parents?
I do not know. I do
Oh
not
my
know.
gosh.
But yeah, see, we lived in another town then. This was about 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
And
what a horrific,
it was one of those small towns where anybody could just walk the street. Your kids were safe. Everybody knew everybody else's kid. Yeah. And this is a town where I grew up in. I lived there from the time I was 5 years old on up. And just a tiny little town, one freaking street.
Mine was about 2,000 people when I was growing up there. It was a little town in Southern California called Ramona. Very small like that.
It was called Adamstown. Tiny little town.
Ah, from the book.
Yes, exactly. The book is based in the town where I grew up.
Yeah.
And it was a one street town. And this little girl was just, walking down the sidewalk. And I guess they picked her up, took her in the car. And they were getting high and then took her out back in the woods and raped her and lit her on fire. And I'm like, what kind of twisted mind does it take to do something? And the poor girl had learning disabilities. Yeah. She had, she would trust anybody.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we did. Sad. We all knew each other. You see, John grew up around here too. Yeah. It was, we all freaking knew each other. Tiny little town. And these kids were just that sick. And the kid's still sitting in jail. I hope he rots in jail. But yeah, and when you think that was so close to my children, this kind of evil was that close to was in my house.
In your house. Yeah. Well, and and again, I come back to, I don't think children are born evil.
I don't
mean,
either.
I've never subscribed to that. Something happened to make them be this, or make that child be this way. Something.
Absolutely. And what kind of parent can just write off a child, not get them help? If you think your child is that evil, why is he not in treatment? Why do you not have him in some kind of hospital kind of setting?
Right. Something, anything to save them, because, that's your job. That's why you were given these children, is to help raise them and save them. So
thank you. Matthew came home from school yesterday and had a paper from the YMCA.
Yep.
They had a talk in school about how to not hurt someone on a date.
Oh my!
I'm like, they have to teach you that in school?
I was going to say, can we just say, let's not hurt anybody at all?
Where are parents?
I don't know.
You have to be taught this in school.
I don't know.
And I didn't even think people dated anymore. Don't you just phone it now?
I don't know. I like I said, me and tech, no.
But yeah, they're having to teach it in school, how not to hurt people on a date. Where in the hell are parents? Okay, I'm on a soapbox.
Apparently not present.
I'm on a soapbox. I shouldn't be on. See, the squirrel took off again. And I need to bring it back before Nina starts yelling. Yeah.
Sorry, okay. Nina.
Sorry, Nina. I did it again.
You've got two of us now.
We preaching. Nobody wants to hear that.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Okay. So,
there's a squirrel in my next book. His name is Murray.
Oh,
and he's a Scrabbly, and I didn't invent him. He just showed up. So yeah,
there really is a squirrel.
It really is a squirrel. Yeah. He works in a bar in hell called the Devil's Inn.
Oh, as in the Devil's Inn and the Devil's Inn.
Yep.
Oh, that's really cool. I have to smoke now. I'm sorry.
Well, now, is it brimstone smoke? That's all I want to know.
I think it is.
It might be. There you go.
The smoke of the wacky tobacco. No.
Oh no, I am not doing an interview with wacky tobacco. It's bad enough. No, I could get worse, much worse.
No, it's just a good old. It's just a good old camel menthol. Okay. So now back to the stories. So I am going to tell you, I managed to read to book 4 just like that. These are excellent books. And seriously, whenever I was not reading a book for the show, I was reading these books. That's how good they are. They are my new favorite series. And I have to say that everybody should read them. They are fabulous. And the characters, I have to say, Maxiel is my favorite character. He is so cool. And I imagine he's very hot too, if you ever got to see him.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
If you did that quick, I know I will be the same. Yes, you will. It's one of those books where you get to the end and you have to say, oh God, I have to have the next one.
Yep.
It is.
I appreciate that.
You do. You get to the end and it's like, and I know after I read number 5, I'm going to be like, okay, next.
When are you going to be finished? I have had a couple of my friends ask me, what are you doing on Facebook? Why are you not writing? I am writing.
Right? And I know that's why I feel so bad that I don't have the next Kane book done. Because it'll be like 2 or 3 years in between. Yeah. And you feel bad about that. But it's like, oh my God, life happens.
Well, I was trying to write one a year, but like I said, real life occasionally will happen. And that's what happened this last time. But I had finished the series. So I had really thought, could I do a sixth book? But no, Maxiel and Sahara's story was told. It's not like they don't have any more adventures. They do, but their romance, their story was told. And the next one called to me. So I thought, all right, I'm going to take, a couple of months break and deal with my family issues. And then, start this other one. And part of the problem with this one is that I had to take 5 books worth of world building, because it took 5 books to build this world. And I had to make sure that it was all in this next book without it feeling like an information dump, right? Because it's set in the same world. And, I needed it there. And some of the characters are the same. So, I will have people that read from one series to the next, but I'll also have new readers who don't know anything about the world. So I kind of have to redo it. And that's taken a bit of time to weave it in properly so that it doesn't feel like it's artificial. And that took extra work. I didn't think that through before before I started writing. But once I start, I can't stop. They don't. My characters do not want to die on my computer. They're nagging at me. Please, it's my turn. I have something I want to say. So, yeah, this one has taken a little bit longer, but I think from now on, for the rest of the books in the series, it should be quicker. I should be able to do at least one a year. So, sort of quick, kind of quicker than this one came out. So.
Well, everybody could just yell at me because I get off on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote Tombstones, and then I had a poetry book come out, and now I'm doing Hex. But in the end of Hex, there's a surprise.
Aha. Oh, yes. Okay. All right.
Well, I think I've already given it away. Cain comes in the end of Hex, and that's where the next Cain book starts. So
I'm willing to read that. I am.
So I have to finish Hex so I can write Cain.
Yep.
So that's kind of. It wasn't supposed to happen that way, but then I was like,
no, they're never supposed to happen that way, and then they do.
Oh my God, this is like perfect. Like, this would be so cool. And well, I'm not. No, I'm going to keep giving more away. I got to shut my yap. Okay.
I actually thought about doing a prequel. My next project is a prequel of how everybody ended up where they were at the very beginning of Demon Spawn.
Ooh.
How did Lucifer get thrown out of heaven? What was his relationship like with his father? How did Maxiel end up becoming Uriel's understudy? And what happened? How did he become the Dread Dark Lord? So that's kind of how, that's my after this book project.
Ooh, that'll be great. That'll be great. We need to have you back on the show when you finish the book.
Okay. Thank you.
That would be great. I would love that. And
All right.
then I'll get the book to read before the show. Yep. I'm so evil. I'm always thinking about these.
Oh, no, that's Bob. Bob's evil.
Yes, Bob, you whispered that to me.
Hi, Bob. You can come visit me.
You can have him. He's a pain in the ass.
We'll trade. You can borrow. No, Granite says you can't borrow him. I'm sorry. He's stuck here. He doesn't want to leave.
Yeah, I'm stuck with this idiot too. Okay, so I should wrap this up because I've gone like 40 minutes overtime.
Whoops.
But I was having so much fun.
I know, me too.
So, and I'm the boss, so I can do what I want. Okay, so thank you so much for being on the show. Okay, and I will send you a pic. Libby. Hi, Libby. Thank you for stopping in.
Hi, Libby.
Thank you for coming. There's questions on here that we didn't get to. If you want to check in later and answer them so people can see.
I will do that. My phone is, I have a demon possessed phone and it does not let me see everything. So I missed, if I missed questions, it's because they didn't show up on my screen. Blame the demons. And I'll get to them.
Oh, I'm going to have to remember that anytime I miss something on my phone. Blame the demons.
Blame the, it's true in my case.
I did
Oh my gosh.
It was Bob.
All right.
Or
Thank you.
Matthew. Matthew's very good at that too, stealing my phone. And you know what he does? He answers my texts.
Oh,
and
he
people
does.
think it's me. He doesn't do it as much as he used to, but he would sometimes answer my texts if it's from his brothers or people he knows. He'll answer them, and people will think they're talking to me. And then I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, Mom, you answered me.
No, it wasn't me.
And I'm like, I did?
It was Matthew.
Yeah, no, it was your brother, you goof. And he's so good at that. He's a little pain in my tuchus. Okay.
All right.
So thank you for being on the show so much. I was so glad to have you because I love your books. I am such a big fan.
Thank you so much, Beth. We will talk soon.
Yes, absolutely. And if you hang on for a minute after we sign off.
Okay.
And thank you, everybody, for watching this show. I appreciate you all being here. And if you missed any shows and you want to check them out, you can always catch them on YouTube. And I guess that's all. I will see you next week. Love ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.